quick update for you here. It's been a while since I posted a video. It's just weather's been awful, and if it hasn't been soaking wet, things have been frozen, so work has been slow. But wanted to get you an update. Things have been moving along. First and foremost, got title stuff squared away, got registration done, so really happy about that, and just in time for spring, so we can start working on it again. Got a list of things that need done. So carb, this is what's going to be coming up next. Going to try to stay under the hood and get that squared away. So carb needs a rebuild. It needs to be cleaned. The gas that's coming out of it when it leaks is like, it's like glue when it evaporates. So like, I'm sure the carb is full of that. So that's going to happen. Fuel tank, fuel lines. Again, that gas is awful, and I'm sure the tank is full of it. The lines are full of it. The fuel pump that I pulled off was full of it. And so while I'm in there, I'm going to flush the tank, flush the lines, check out the evap. There's a canister back there under the hood too. And I'm going to fix the choke. The automatic choke on this doesn't work. The choke tube has just rotted out of the manifold. Someone did install a manual choke, but it wasn't really hooked up. So I'm gonna maybe make a bracket or something and get that to work and just deactivate the automatic. The exhaust, I don't know the last time I made a video of it running, but if you listen close, you can hear there's numerous exhaust leaks. One of them was the choke tube, and I plugged that with a bolt. Janky repair, but it at least quiets it down a little bit. That sounded like a 22 caliber pistol going off under the hood every time the engine fired, or those two cylinders 3 and 4 were firing. So at least that's gone now. It's not deafening under the hood. But I did find a couple of manifold bolts, the 2 that go under the carb. They're the ones that hold the carb, or under the carb, they're the ones that hold the manifold for the intake and exhaust, kind of hold both of them together. I found one of them just hanging out under the hood, and the other one's missing in action. So that's an exhaust leak I can hear, and almost certainly some sort of manifold leak as well, vacuum leak. And lastly, the donut gasket. That's leaking a little bit, but that's minor compared to the other things. Valve cover gaskets, leaks like a sieve. So I'm going to pull that off, get a new gasket on it. While I'm doing that, I'm going to check the valves. There's a pretty bad valve tick, and the longer I run it, the worse it gets. So I'm pretty sure, I've got a stuck valve, or at least one that's hanging up and kind of slow. I've been researching common issues with these old 258s, and it seems like a lot of the CJ guys have problems after sitting for a while with stuck valves. Old gaskets on there gums them up, and they just don't respond quickly. Push rod pops out of its little place on the rocker arm, or it bends it. So it's not running on all 6 cylinders anyway. I have a feeling it's probably related to that. Like I said, the longer I run it, the louder it gets. It doesn't sound as much like a rod knock now with the exhaust leaks fixed. It does sound more top end, at least I'm hoping. I would much rather replace a couple bent push rods and free a couple of stuck valves than have to replace a rod bearing. So yeah, I'm gonna do all those things. And lastly, before I do any of that, I'm gonna clean the engine, or at least try. The thing is, the leaky valve cover gasket's been leaking for a while, and every time I run it, it just gets worse. So I did clean it, so let's go look at that. Okay, so I did, you can see just some gunk. I sprayed it down, and I really didn't want to hit it with a water hose. Here's the heater tube. That's just a bolt stuck in there. It's really stuck in there now. It won't come out. I just dropped that in there. That actually would have been a metal tube that goes over to here. And that actually a tube that runs from the bottom of the manifold down here all the way through up here, and then goes around and connects to the automatic choke. And that's just to get the exhaust flow heats that air in that tube, and it goes up and activates the choke. That doesn't work. It hasn't worked. You can see the manual choke that the previous owner put on, or was over here. That'll get hooked up. But that little guy down there was just a massive exhaust leak, and since it's a tiny little hole, it's, like I said, it sounded like someone was shooting off a gun under the hood. It was deafening, very sharp, and it actually made it really hard to hear the mechanical sounds of the engine, like what else was going on with it. So I did clean it down, or clean it up. It's not great. I did end up having to wash it a couple times, but it's better than it was. You can kind of see the paint coming through now, and it's still messy, but it's better. And if I'm going to be working on it, I don't want all that stuff falling, getting down into there. So yeah, carburetor. I mean, that's why it's getting rebuilt. It needs new gaskets. You can see the stuff that's on there is just, you can't see it because it won't focus. But it, I mean, it's clearly varnished and gross. The carb itself is filthy. It's an old Jeep, so it just needs some love in this department. And it's kind of been neglected. I got distracted by all the wiring, and I feel like that's in a relatively decent spot now, so we're going to get under here. And yeah, so carburetor, manifold work, valve cover gasket, going to check the valves at the same time, donut gasket down there, and then I'm going to hook a vacuum line, or a vacuum pump, siphon pump, I guess. Siphon some fresh gas through this line once I get the tank cleaned out. I don't know if I'm going to pull the tank and do it the right way, or just try to siphon the gas out and maybe get lucky with it coming clean. But either way, I'll drain it or siphon the gas out of it, put some fresh in it, and see how it looks. If the gas comes out still, this kind of orangey color, then I'll just drop the tank and do it the right way. It means more time, but what's the point of rebuilding this carburetor and putting a new fuel pump on it if you're just going to suck that old varnished gas into it and gum up your carb, or worse, potentially gum up the intake valves and cause them to stick, or whatever happens there. So yeah, that's about it. Alrighty, so you kind of see what I've been working on. Like I said, not much, to be honest. I kind of got an idea of where things are going to go, and we'll just keep plugging away at that. I'll do videos on all this stuff as I go, just so kind of keep everybody up to date. Probably going to start with the carb. I've never rebuilt a carb for a car before. I've done a couple of small engines, go-karts, lawnmowers. Never a car. It's a one barrel, and the factory service manual has an exploded view of it. So I'm thinking that, I don't know, we'll see. I don't want to jinx it, but I've got the rebuild kit for it, and I've got a can of the gunk carburetor cleaner. So I'm gonna rip it apart, let it soak, and then I'll try to record the rebuild process. If anybody's interested, I'll try to put that online. So again, thanks for watching, and for those of you that have subscribed and commented, I really appreciate it. When I got this Jeep, I really didn't know what other people thought. I knew they're kind of the black sheep of the Commando, models. The older ones have that distinctive Jeep look. The 72 and 73 bullnose are kind of the oddballs. So really excited to see people that have come out and said, hey, I've got the same Jeep, it's awesome. Love to see that. So thanks again for watching, and we'll get some more videos soon.